So as we were introduced, as Ed introduced us to, we're in a very much a digital world, a transforming world. The world is changing, whether it's Uber and its technologies, with Google with its driverless cars. We are definitely in a transformation world like we've never seen before. And the point about this is that the pace in which we are developing is really important to every one of you. It's important that you get your products to market as soon as possible because there is a lot of competition out here. Why am I telling you this? Why am I going through this? Because actually we talk about the tooling can sometimes be a distraction for you to look after. Our whole philosophy is about allowing you to build software and allow somebody else to look after the infrastructure. Because it's not necessarily what you do best. The tooling and the platform is probably not your core skill set. You want to be able to have your best programmers programming to produce product. The infrastructure is maybe not the best area for you to be looking after. What often happens is we see maybe your very highly skilled Java developers actually involved in supporting the infrastructure when there's an upgrade of a tool. Because remember, software development tools are not like your Microsoft Word programs and PowerPoints to look after. They're very more complex than that. They have workflows, they have integration points, because it's like a production line of tooling. Software development isn't about one tool, it's about a suite of tools often. That together allows you to put code in at the front and produce product at the end. So our goal is all about saying, don't focus on looking after the tooling. Let other experts do that. You concentrate on producing product to go to market. Because if you miss the opportunity, that's a far more expensive cost to you to miss the opportunity in today's day and age. The other trend that we're seeing, of course, we hear about it all the time, is hosting technology. The Amazons of this world. So certain things don't lend themselves to putting them into the cloud. So if you've got a big Oracle or SAP installation, that's not ideal for a cloud-based environment. However, what is ideal is development product tooling. Because as we said very early on about your best candidates might not be always located in your office. They will be and will be generally located around the world. So if you just have tooling which is installed in your server room on-premise, it might not be able to cater perfectly for those distributed people that work from home and work abroad. So we are seeing a tremendous amount of companies, large and small, big companies, AT&Ts and Cisco's and all sorts of companies, producing or caring about where they put development tooling now, so that they can cater for people working off-premise. There is actually a recent report, there's lots of reports around, but an IDC produced a report talking about how 24% of IT budget now is going into the cloud. So of your total IT spend, people are allocating 24% of it to go cloud. That does mean a large chunk of it is still about looking after your internal on-premise equipment. Why do I raise this whole point? It's because actually if you then read further into this, they actually talk about the productivity. You get about 8 times more productivity from your cloud side than you do from the bigger part of your spend, which is on-premise. So the strong, again, why might that be? Well, most people, when you buy internal infrastructure, you're kind of owning it for a number of years, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. And it's hard to cater for those projects that need to scale up and scale down again. We all know about software development teams. They go through cycles. You get a new project and then you want to scale that up. But if you're limited by the bandwidth of your own internal infrastructure, how do you suddenly rapidly scale it up? Or indeed, if projects go slower, scale it down. It becomes the same physical cost. This is where we talk about the cloud giving you some of that flexibility to grow and contract. Why pay for things if you don't need them? That's one of the benefits of being able to scale back because you don't own the infrastructure. So the modern world is now talking about maybe a mixture of certain amount on-premise for your big applications, your Oracles and so on, But where you can, to scale, maybe the software development is a perfect example. It doesn't have the same requirements as an SAP or an Oracle. So put it in the cloud. Think about that. So going beyond that now, wanted to also talk about Spectrum. We've covered about how putting stuff into the cloud is important. We're speaking about now the platform. And I mentioned about a lot of organizations are concentrating on coding to produce product, and less of them are worrying about the actual tooling itself. Of course you care. You actually do care about the actual tools that you buy. They've got to be functional. They've got to be easy to learn and pick up for users. Now, it's interesting, if I say again, how many people have heard of the term Git? Again, 50% or so of you. I almost guarantee you go back into your office and you ask your other IT and your development team about Git and ask them how many of them have heard Git. I will be astonished if any of you don't put your hands up next time. Git is the version control tool of today and going through the future because it's distributed. Now, again, the point about this is that tools such as that are becoming very prolific within the industry. And we want to be able to show you how using these tools, along with Atlassian tooling, is the way, or the new modern way of working. Again, coming back onto the Git point, universities, why is Git becoming so prevalent? And that is because students from universities are using it day in, day out on their projects. It's open source. So it has a commercial advantage to you, but it also has an advantage because freshly out of your universities are students, software developers who already know how to use Git. And there's a number of other open source tools also in that framework. So not everything has to be commercially purchased. And that, again, is the way of the future. Our particular platform is called Spectrum. This is what Clearvision itself has been writing for organizations such as yourself. Now, where does this fit in? I've spoken about the tool Jira, Confluence, HipChat. Most of these tools you see here are best-in-class, best-of-breed tools. Again, I challenge you, go and look at Forrester and Gartner and look at the reports that they give you and have a look at these tools. These are from Atlassian. Mixed in here are also some open source tools. The point about this picture is to say nowadays the best productivity is from a fully integrated suite of tools. However, 70% of the world development companies don't go to a single organization and use all of their tools. So for example, IBM, Rational Team Concert, is a suite of tools that you could pick up and put into your organization tomorrow. It's the whole suite. It does everything. However, most people choose the best-in-class tooling. And best-in-class tooling doesn't come from a single vendor. Most of you will go out and look for the best version control tool, the best change control tool, the best continuous integration tool, and so on. And you will choose the best vendor at the time. Because what happens is tools have a life cycle, and what is best today, in 5 years' time, might not be best. So if you're not careful, you want to be using a platform where you have, if you like, a plug-and-play capability. And that is what we've been working on here. It allows you to plug the best-of-breed tools into the platform and to have that continuous end-to-end cycle, if it's an agile workflow, user permission controls all the way through. Because one of the problems is, if I handed a whole load of development tools to your IT staff and said, go and create a platform, it's not, again, like just installing Microsoft tools. It's not just about installing them. It's about connecting them and getting a workflow and continuous permission controls all the way through. And that is the challenge that a lot of organizations have. Remember, 70% of the world choose the best-of-breed tooling. And today, that's why I'm very proud to be here partnering the stand with Atlassian, because their tools are in the Forrester Best of Tools, Forrester and Gartner Best of Tools area. So, Again, if we just look at this suite of tools, this isn't everything. But effectively what we're saying to you is we can have this whole platform deployed either in cloud, Amazon as an example, or with on-premise so that you can have more control. And because we know this whole platform, we can look after the platform for you if you want. Because remember, you should really focus on developing and producing product rather than worrying about the whole platform. So this is, again, the way in which the world is going, because there are challenges here looking after the suite of tooling. How many people here are challenged at your level, your business people, you're looking after teams? How many of you people don't necessarily get the right reporting or believe you're not quite getting the right reporting? You're not necessarily comfortable or confident that you'll get the kind of reports back from your teams. A few of you having challenges there? Again, the thing about this is teams, we talk about teams. Teams operate sometimes in an agile world in silos, or they like to think they are. But actually what you need to be able to do is pull information about this team, go and get the statistics about another team, and be able to aggregate that up to the top. If you've got lots of individual tools, that can be a challenge. Again, what we're talking about with tools such as Jira and Portfolio is to be able to look at the consequences of making change to a team. What happens if I take a developer off this team and put him on that team? Does this team become more productive? Can I do if-what scenarios? If I take them off, what happens to that team? Does their productivity look to go down? Can I predict it? And will it go up if I add that person over here? With this skill set, what's the cost implications of taking a person off? So all of those kind of things are valuable to people of your level. Understanding, especially if you are then charging your services maybe out or have to justify your service. So being, again, able to look across the whole suite and be able to give accurate reporting generally is a really important part to managers like yourself. I mentioned at the very beginning about tooling not just being within the development world. And this is one of the real benefits of Atlassian. It founded itself on software development tools. But what has been really interesting in the last 3 or so years is how organizations have taken the same tools that predominantly are used by software development teams and started to use them elsewhere in the business. Let's just think about teams, HR, marketing, finance. Most of them all operate using some forms of processes. Indeed, for us to be here today, our marketing team themselves use Jira, and Jira is a workflow engine. It allows you to design workflows. We all work every day. We actually have processes within our businesses. You know, to purchase something, there's a process. For HR onboarding somebody, there's a process for bringing somebody on board. Every part of a business has processes. If you take Jira as one of those tools that I mentioned earlier, it's a process organization tool. It allows you to shape a process for anything that you like. Historically, it's been software development. More traditionally now, we're seeing it moving through the business. So let me give you an example. I'm going to actually come back onto linchpin in just a second. Let's take an HR team. And then actually let's take one of Atlassian's tools and start to look a little bit more focused. So an HR team has challenges. It has challenges about bringing on new recruits. Right? We all face that. One of the things that we want to do, especially if you're scaling fast, is to get your new recruits on board as fast as possible, being productive. It's a challenge that we all face. So we want to be very structured in the way that we do this. If we do it every day, surely there is a good process for doing it, day by day by day, an organization. So if we look at a product such as Confluence here, what we can do in Confluence is a wiki-based tool. Again, we'll be hearing a bit more about this later. It's about organizing artifacts. So some of you, I guess, a very popular branded tool will be SharePoint. Some of you might know of SharePoint. Confluence here does everything that SharePoint does, plus more because of its integrations as well. But one example here is that we can actually use it to create an onboarding pack for our developers. So we can click a button, very customizable, and that will auto-generate, if you like, the 90-day onboarding program for somebody. When a person then joins, they log into their tool, they get their onboarding 90-day program, and they work through that program. There can be tests as part of that program. But the point is that you design it once. You might have workflows to test people, and all the material is there. How many people struggle to find information within their organization? You do a search in some kind of knowledge base, and you're forever troubling finding things. Confluence is all about organizing things, finding things in a very structured way. It has a very capable search capability within it. You can manage artifacts, documents, and like a wiki, again, everyone's heard of Wikipedia, wiki-based concepts. Instead of writing documents in a Word and then filing them away and then losing them forever, of which they never get revised, we can have live documents in a wiki format which are searchable, which can have live feeds. For example, maybe I want to open up a document and it immediately goes and gets my NASDAQ rating for me. Instead of it being a static number, it goes and updates live. And all sorts of dynamic data that we need today, dashboards, mixed in with our documents that you want to write. So the day of fixed hard documents have gone. Word, in our organization, Clearvision, we have banned Microsoft Word. We do not use it. Everything I need to use, I can do in Confluence. And I can get live information updated there and then. So my competitive advantage over my competitors is I'm always up to date with live information. So not only can you, for example, do onboarding with people, but you can be dynamically introduced to material. As people add it, you can have controls over that material. Word documents, thing of the past. Again, we can talk about Confluence and adding product layers on top of it. It has a plugin capability. Linchpin is an example of a plugin that you can add onto it to dynamically enhance the tool. And that's very common with all of Atlassian tools. So what they allow you to do is either write your own plugins or the marketplace, Atlassian's large marketplace, which Paul, I'm sure, will touch on, has multiple vendors writing small applications that enhance these tools. It's one of the most prolific environments in terms of people adding functionality. Linchpin is one of those. If you wanted an intranet, for example, nowadays, a collaborative internet, to keep your staff engaged, to keep your customers engaged, then again, built on top of Confluence is a tool called Linchpin. And instead of Confluence standard looking like this, we can enhance it to look like an intranet, where pages are live fed. The good thing about this, most websites, you need somebody with good HTML skills or really good at being able to create a website. This is all wiki-based, editor-based, and allows you to maybe give that skill set to somebody more junior in the organization, and you can trust them to do it because you'll go through a workflow before it's allowed to be published. Pages such as this, again, we work in a world which is geographical, maybe multiple languages. Instead of writing one page and then another, the same page again for a different language, Confluence with Linchpin allows you to dynamically use the same page, and if I move from country to country, it recognizes I'm Jerry in another country, and it will just always tell me English. Where for another individual in another location, the page is automatically dynamically changed for the local language. So it allows you to, Confluence allows you to share information within your business, share with the public as well. So I wanted to get across to you several things. The world is changing. We're needing resources across the world. It means talking much more about cloud infrastructure for the right things, using the latest tooling. Go to Gartner and Forrester and have a look at Atlassian. You will see that they are the new modern way of development tooling. Agile, being able to make sure that, again, teams work in a very agile way and get the reporting that you need. And that platform, don't have your best staff, your Java, most experienced, expensive people looking after the platform. Have them coding, producing product so you can get to market early and you can increase your revenues. Let us look after the platform so you can concentrate on what you do best, which is your product. I'm now going to take a break myself. I'm going to hand over to Paul, and he is actually going to walk you through a bit more detail about Atlassian. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
You got one?
Yep, I've got one. Thanks very much, Jerry. I'd just like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Paul Conroy. I'm the business manager for Asia Pacific for Atlassian, and I'm really excited to be here in the tech hub of India, getting some experiences, talking to customers, meeting people about the best way to build collaboration tools, the best way to build your own software using our collaboration tools. And I'm really excited to be here tonight. I hope to get a good opportunity to speak to many of you one-on-one and listen to either how you are currently using Atlassian tools